Morning everyone, welcome to Monday's Thought for the Day. It's nice to be back with you again. I've been away for a week in Northumberland. I'll tell you something about that a bit later on. I've been watching a TV programme on BBC, and it's about 7 celebrities walking the Camino Way, which is a pilgrim way. And they walked 74 miles from Sarria to Santiago de Compostela in Spain. Now the full walk stretches from the French Pyrenees and is about 480 miles long, but they did a shorter version of it. And there were 2 Christians on the walk, the Reverend Kate Botley, who most of you will probably be aware of. She was originally on Gogglebox and has presented many programs since that time. And the other one was the singer Heather Small. And the rest were either self-confessed atheists, humanist, and one person said that she hoped to find God on this walk. And it was a difficult walk, often in intense heat, and but hundreds of thousands of pilgrims walk it every year. And it was good to see such a diverse group of people create community on the walk together. And although those who professed no faith appeared untouched at the end of it in any spiritually meaningful way, I hope that it may be part of a continuing journey for them. And as I said, I was away in Northumbria last week, and normally we would stay on the island of Lindisfarne, or Holy Island to give it its other name, but we stayed a little bit inland this time, but we did visit the island. You know, Northumbria is my favourite destination in the whole of the country. It's a land of beauty and spirituality, and I just love it. Lindisfarne in particular is a favourite place and has meant a lot to me over the past few years. It's a pilgrim place. Pilgrims from all over the world make their way there, they walk there. And there are paths there that I've trodden many times. A few years ago I renewed my baptismal vows on Lindisfarne, or rather I was totally immersed in the sea, the freezing cold North Sea that surrounds its shores. And it began a series of events, of changes in my life that I could never have foreseen. My growth that was inspired by the Celtic way I discovered there was gradual, almost imperceptible for a time. But I had a growing awareness of something happening within me that was sometimes comforting and sometimes disturbing. Disturbing, I think, because it began to upset the status quo and was prompting me to take action and for me to step out of my comfort zone. In reality, my comfort zone was unfulfilling and frustrating, and fear and anxiety kept me many times from stepping out onto that path that God was prompting me to take. Now, you might have had similar feelings in your life. You know, have you ever heard yourself say, I couldn't possibly do that, or I'm not good enough to do that, or where will it take me? I might not like it. And we all want to choose the right path for our lives, don't we? But what if the right path seems like the riskier path? You know, life will take us to to many crossroads where we will have to choose whether we will rely on our fear or faith. Now, many times I've reached a crossroads and taken the path that has ultimately led to fear. The only way to reach our destiny is really through the path of faith. But sometimes we see things within our grasp and go for them, go that way, simply because we can see them. But in Hebrews 11, verse 1, it says, "Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see." See, God won't show us the full picture of where he's calling us to. But that's the path of faith. Believing without seeing. Now, God may have different plans than yours, but we have to trust that his plans are always better. God has asked me to let go of many things in the past. Some I held on to, but eventually relinquished. And the overwhelming feeling was relief. What was I scared of? Why didn't I do that before? And I learned that the hardest decisions I've made have always been the best decisions that I've made. You see, God will lead us each step of the way. He will wait when we stumble or when we stray from the path. Abraham is a perfect example of one who chose the path of faith, which led him to inherit God's blessings. God asked him to leave his hometown and everything familiar to follow him to an unknown promised land. Again in Hebrews it says, "By faith Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he didn't know where he was going." So we may not know the end destination of our walk of faith, but God knows. Faith is the only way for us to prove to God that we trust him. We don't have to be afraid of following God into the unknown, because nothing is unknown to him. The path of faith won't always seem or feel right. But faith doesn't rely on what we feel. Jesus will always lead us to the right path, towards our destiny. And following Jesus isn't about doing religious acts, but about hearing him and responding by faith. Following Jesus is saying yes, yes to wherever he leads you. So will you say no to fear and step out in faith? Discover what God has been putting in your heart. Listen to it. The right path won't always feel right, but we must trust that Jesus knows where he's leading us. So remember, take the pilgrim way, the path of faith. God bless. Bye-bye.